Okay, hello everyone, and welcome back to Common English Mistakes. Don't just learn, improve. So, just a quick update on myself. Recently, I've been doing some hiking in the USA. So, for the next few videos, we're going to look at real mistakes which I heard international tourists, travelers, non native speakers make. This is going to be really useful because it's authentic language, real world mistakes, and we're going to look at how to correct them. So the first mistake is up here. The last class has been interesting. This wasn't exactly what they said, but it's the same issue and problem. So just pause the video, try to correct the sentence. And well done if you said the last class is finished. So we can't use present perfect, we need to use the past simple. The last class was interesting. So we looked in an earlier video at what is probably the main reason to use either present perfect or past simple. When you don't say or specify when something happened in the past, you're going to use present perfect. For example, I've been to Brazil, but I'm not saying when. When you specify or say the time, you're going to use past simple. I went to Brazil 7 years ago. The link to that video will be available at the end of this one. I suggest you watch it. The other main reason, though, to use either present perfect or past simple is whether things are unfinished or finished. When things, time periods are unfinished, we're going to use present perfect. For example, today, you might say, I've already eaten lunch today. Whereas things which are finished, like yesterday, you're going to use past simple. I didn't eat lunch yesterday. Or you might ask as a question. So, have you been on holiday this year? Unfinished. Did you go on holiday last year? Last year is finished. There is sometimes some overlap when you can use either present perfect or past simple. For example, on Friday, at the end of the week is still unfinished, so you could say this week has been difficult. But it's Friday, so it's effectively finished, so we can also use past simple. This week was difficult. So going back to the original example, hopefully at the end of this video, you'll say, this video has been interesting, or maybe this video was interesting. But basically anything with the word last, that's always going to be finished. Make sure you don't use the present perfect. The last video was interesting. So as a general rule, when you use the word last, you're talking about finished things. Don't use the present perfect, use the past simple. When you use the word this, most often you're talking about unfinished things. So we're going to use present perfect. However, just be careful with time periods because this can refer to past, present, and future. So for example, you're watching a series with a friend and you say to them, this series, unfinished, has been okay, present perfect, but last season, finished, was better, past simple. Or maybe you're watching a football match and it's the second half. You say to your friend, we've played well this half is unfinished. We played badly in the first half is finished. Or maybe you're working on a project at work and you say, the last project was a disaster. This project has been going much better. Present perfect continuous here. So let's now look at the actual mistakes these German speakers made. Basically, we were on a hiking trail in a town called Agua Dulce, and they were telling us about earlier places, towns, sections. So they were saying things like the mountains have been cold, or we have stayed in a hotel in Idlewild, another town, or we have carried a lot of water in the desert. All of these were earlier in the trail, earlier in the journey, the trip. They're all finished because we're in a different place and they needed to use the past simple. So they should have said the mountains were cold, we stayed in a hotel in Idlewild, and we carried a lot of water in the desert. Basically, when you're talking about things in the past, think they finished or unfinished, and if they're finished, never use the present perfect. So hopefully that's a bit clearer for you guys. As ever, if you haven't done so already, do make sure to hit that subscribe button for more common, authentic, real-world mistakes which people make, how we can correct them, and how you can sound much, much better. When you're ready, let's practice and improve. I want you to imagine you're on a round the world trip. You started in the USA, then went to Italy, but you're now in Japan. Here are your activities and what the weather was or is like. Just pause the video and write some sentences using the present perfect, past simple to describe, tell us about your trip. And well done. If you said Japan is unfinished because you're there, so you're going to say something like, we have visited Tokyo and Kyoto. We have eaten sushi and noodles, and it has been very humid. Whereas the USA and Italy were earlier, you're not there now, these places are finished, so we need to use past simple. I visited New York and Chicago. I ate hamburgers and it was hot in the USA. Whereas in Italy, I visited Milan and Rome. I ate pizza and it rained or it was raining, it was rainy. Any of this is fine. And finally, today's question. What interesting things have you done this year? And what did you do last year? So do write your answers in the comments, guys. I'm always interested what you've got to say and a good chance to practice the language. So anyway, that's basically it for today. This one is a very common mistake. Might seem obvious, but it's one I hear a lot, both in lessons, but also the real world. Generally, the problem, like I said in the example, is using the present perfect for finished things. Time periods are a little bit easier, a bit more obvious, but if it's a thing, an event, a place on a trip like we looked at, think, is it finished or unfinished? Use the correct tense. If you do that, you're going to sound much, much better. Other than that, I'll see you for another video in the next couple of days. So until next time, see ya.